Despite the many field filler start and parks that were in the Cup Series in 2012, a new car joined the fray in the second half of the season. The Humphrey-Smith Racing Team added a second team. Joining the 19 car was the sister 91. The 91 would run a mix of Fords, Chevys, and Toyotas being recycled from other teams. The 91 made its mark in 2012 as a prominent field filler and helped fund the sister Start and Park team as well as the program's Xfinity team as well. Now join me as we look into the entire 2012 Start and Park season for the Humphrey-Smith Racing 91 car. Race 20, debut at Indianapolis, saw Sorenson driving a Ford. It didn't show much speed in practice as it was only 41st in the first practice and 43rd in the second practice. With no owner points, 91 Sorenson needed to beat three other go-or-go homers to lock in. Unfortunately, on his qualifying run, Sorenson hit the wall. Still beating a couple of cars, the 91 narrowly missed the show by 0.116 tenths of a second and was 43rd on the time trials. 91 suffered its first DNQ in its first attempt, but was still listed 58th in the owner points. This was the only time the Ford was used in 2012.
Inaugural event here at the Brickyard. Green flag for Reed Sorenson. Again, one of the drivers that must make this field on his time.
Well, he sure knows how to do it. You can see him straight down the right side of the car. Reed has been on the pole here before. Got his first pole of his career here.
It's 2007. He sat on the pole here driving for Chip Ganassi at that time.
Yeah, those scrapes down the side happen in practice.
Yep.
You see that quite often here, Dale. I know you see it right there. Yep. And they put a small, maybe a slight mark on it.
It's
just you try to get everything you can off of these corners.
Yeah.
You actually need about another 5 feet there, don't you?
You really, really do. It would be very, very helpful, especially with these stock cars where you just don't have that banking. There's only 9 degrees of banking. I think that's up there against the wall in these corners where you don't want to be.
That's about where Reed Sorenson was, though. He was all the way up there.
You can see
But
that.
I don't know if he touched
rear.
it. Well, if he did, it was barely, wasn't it?
But it still cost him time, and that's
Yeah.
probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, I'll give that to you, Eddie. I don't think he
I'm
touched
not
it,
sure.
but
It was close.
he sure came close. And again, for a driver who has to make the race on time, that one lap with all its pressure, we'll have to wait and see how it turns out.
Race number 21 at the second Pocono race saw driver Reed Sorenson once again. After practicing 35th in both sessions, 91 Sorenson was running a Toyota this week, showed more speed than Indianapolis. The 91 Sorenson barely made the race, making the show by just 3/100ths of a second and qualifying 40th on the grid. 91 Sorenson did not drop to the rear as he was pretty much already there. After following the 23 to the garage, 91 Sorenson pulled off after 10 laps and was listed in 42nd, citing brake issues, collecting $63,765 in purse money, and moving the 91 to 55th in the owner points. Race 22 at Watkins Glen, the 91 team would skip as they did not have a road course car prepped for the race. 91 would return at Michigan 2 with driver once again Reed Sorenson. Running a Toyota this week, 91 Sorenson showed more speed this week in running in all 3 practice sessions, running a strong 28th in the first session, 42nd in the second and third sessions. 91 was able to back up his practice time, placing an impressive 27th on the grid. However, Sorenson would drop to the rear prior to the start. 91 would run more laps than the previous race. Following his teammate to the garage, the 91 would pull off after 15 laps, finishing 42nd, citing overheating issues, collecting $71,895 in purse money, and moving the 91 to 54th in the owner's points. Race 24 at Bristol 2 saw once again driver Reed Sorenson running a Chevrolet this week, practicing a very solid 36th in practice 1 and 32nd in practice 2. The 91 Sorenson looked to have enough speed to make the show. Unfortunately, qualifying was rained out, and Sorenson, the 91, did not have near enough provisionals and owner points to make the race. Therefore, the 91 suffered its second DNQ in 2012, remaining 54th in the owner's points. Race number 25 at Atlanta saw Sorenson once again running a Toyota. Running in all three practice sessions, placing 36th, 37th, and 39th, 91 Sorenson needed a great lap to make the show. Once again, the 91 barely made the race, making the show by just 21 thousandths of a second and qualifying 38th on the grid. Sorenson did not drop to the rear and did start the race in 38th. Following the 87 to the garage, 91 Sorenson pulled off after 24 laps, finishing 42nd, citing overheating issues, collecting $82,280 in purse money, and keeping the 91 54th in the owner's points. Race number 26 at Richmond saw once again driver Reed Sorenson running a Chevrolet this week. Running in both practice sessions, but only placing 44th in the first session, but solidly placing 27th in the second session, despite running a slower lap time than the first session, 91 would barely make the show again, making the race by just 55 one-thousandths of a second, qualifying last on the grid, 43rd, to start the race.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series qualifying at Richmond. First car on the track being driven by Reed Sorenson in the 91. 21.83 first lap for Sorenson. The fast lap set in the practice session was a 21.52 that Jeff Burton set in the early practice today, a little after noon Eastern time.
That's a pretty good indication right there that we've got a better track than we had earlier, because that's quite a bit quicker. Actually, about almost 4/10 quicker than he practiced.
So Reed Sorenson, the first one to put his laps in the book. And let's check downstairs on pit road with Dr. Jerry Punch. Hi, Doc.
Hi. The 91 would run the most laps it had done all year, logging 57 laps before pulling off, but still finishing last, getting its first last place finish of the season, citing power steering issues, collecting $66,860 in purse money, and keeping the 91 54th in the owner's points. Race number 27 at Chicago saw, once again, driver Reed Sorenson running a Chevrolet this week. 91 Sorenson ran in both practice sessions, placing 41st in the first session and a strong 23rd in the second session. 91 had to beat 4 Go-Go homers to make the show. Unfortunately, 91 Sorenson could not back his time up from practice and missed the show by just under 0.2 of a second and was 41st on the time trials. The 91 had now suffered its third DNQ in 7 attempts, but stayed 54th in the owner's points. Race number 28 at the second New Hampshire race saw once again driver Reed Sorenson. Sorenson, running a Chevrolet this week, ran in all three practice sessions once again, placing 35th, 37th, and 32nd. Sorenson got the 91 its best qualifying position since Michigan, slotting in 35th on the grid. However, the 91 would drop to the rear prior to the start of the race. After following the 79 to the garage, the 91 Sorenson pulled off after 21 laps, finishing 42nd, citing brake issues, collecting $69,400 in purse money, and moving up the 91 to 51st in the owner's points. Race number 29 at the second Dover race saw once again driver Reed Sorenson running a Toyota this week. Running in both practice sessions, putting up amazing lap times, placing 20th in the first session and 15th in the second session, the most speed the 91 had clearly shown all season. 91 did run a faster lap than practice, but was only good enough for 29th on the grid. Despite all the speed, however, the 91 would fall to the rear as usual. 91 Sorenson would pull off just after 18 laps, giving the 91 its second last place finish of the season, 43rd, citing brake issues, collecting $67,329 in purse money, and lowering the 91 to 52nd in the owner's points. The 91 team would skip the next race at Talladega, race 30, after not having a plate car set up for the race. Race number 31 at the second Charlotte race saw once again driver Reed Sorenson running a Toyota this week, running in only the first 2 of the 3 practice sessions, placing 40th in the first one and 35th in the second one. In qualifying, the 91 barely made the show by just 25 one-thousandths of a second and got the 91 its second 43rd place starting spot of the year. The 91, though, did have to drop to the rear after making an engine change, and luckily, he was already there anyway. Following the 37 and the 36 to the garage, Sorenson would get the 91 its best finish of the season so far in 41st, citing a vibration, collecting $63,450 in purse money, and moving the 91 back up to 51st in the owner's points. Race number 32 at the second Kansas race saw once again driver Reed Sorenson running a Toyota this week, participating in all 3 practice sessions, placing 40th, 43rd, and 38th. 91 Sorenson would greatly improve his time from practice, locking himself into the race and qualifying a solid 34th on the grid.
No, probably should have.
Yeah, okay.
Some of those walls I hit.
Here is Reed Sorenson out on track while we check in with Jamie.
Well, we keep talking about how cold it is, so Danica showed us her own personal heater here. She's flipped it up. It's nice and warm, keeping her hands warm on the wheel as well. A lot going on you've been here since Wednesday already, running double duty. How has it gone for you so far with this repave, first time in the Cup car here?
It's okay, but it is challenging. I feel like when the grip levels are higher and there's more banking, that's when I do well. So it's definitely a little bit slippery, and it's taking a while to come in, but I feel like today was a little bit better. It was slippery the previous days. So coming around, getting better. I'm just a bit of a methodical learner. So things are going better and better on the Cup side, but on the nationwide side, I feel like we're in a much better position. So that's why we're doing what we're doing.
All right, and the car seems to be good. They did make an engine change before this qualifying run, Alan.
Yep, and we'll have to start at the back of the field because of that. And now Reed Sorenson jumping to the top of the leaderboard in qualifying.
Yeah, good lap for Reed Sorenson. First lap was 28.76. Back to Danica a second. I like her way of learning with the same race car. She doesn't go.
As usual, 91 Sorenson would sadly drop to the rear prior to the start of the race. Following the 37 and 98 to the garage, the 91 matched its best finish of the season of 41st, citing overheating issues, collecting $78,805 in purse money, and keeping the 91 51st in the owner's points. Race number 33 at Martinsville 2 saw once again driver Reed Sorenson running a Chevrolet this week. Participating in all 3 practice sessions, 91 placed 33rd, 29th, and 32nd in practice. 91 Sorenson ran the same times from practice, but could only qualify 39th on the grid. Although he was already 39th, he would drop to the rear prior to the start of the race. 91 would be the first car to pull off once again, citing overheating issues. It would be the 91's third 43rd place finish of the season, collecting $67,914 in purse money and keeping the 91 51st in the owner's points. Race number 34 at the second Texas race saw once again driver Reed Sorenson running a Toyota this week, participating in all 3 practice sessions, placing 41st, 34th, and 41st once again. Like the previous week, the 91 Sorenson matched his times in qualifying, slotting in 39th on the grid, but barely making the race by a 10th. Sorenson would run the least amount of laps the 91 had done all year, pulling off after just 6 laps and getting its 4th 43rd place finish of the season. Citing a vibration, collecting $89,561 in purse money and keeping the 91 51st in the owner's points. This would be Sorenson's last appearance in the 91 for this season. Race number 35 at Phoenix 2 saw a new driver with the 91, its second driver of the season in Jason Leffler. Driving a Chevrolet this week, participating in all 3 practice sessions, placing 38th, 38th, and 35th. Despite being slower than his practice times, 91 Leffler qualified for the race, slotting in 40th on the grid. Pulling off after the 56 had blown up, 91 Leffler had got the 91 its best finish since Kansas of 42nd, citing brake issues, collecting $64,895 in purse money, and keeping the 91 51st in the owner's points. Race number 36 at Homestead, the season finale, saw once again driver Jason Leffler showing up with a Toyota this week. 91 Leffler only participated in one of the 3 practice sessions, placing 42nd. With 47 entries, the 91 had to put up a solid lap to make the show. Unfortunately, 91 Leffler wasn't quick enough in qualifying, missing the show by 0.122 tenths of a second and slotted 45th on the time trials. It was a 91's 4th DNQ of 2012 and definitely a bitter way to end the season. The 91's driver results for 2012 are this. Reed Sorenson attempted 13 races, making 10 of them, with Indy, Bristol, and Chicago being the DNQs. With an average start of 36.7 and an average finish of 42.2 and a best finish of 41st. Jason Leffler attempted 2 races, making 1 of them, with Homestead being the DNQ, having an average start of 40th, an average finish of 42nd, and obviously the best finish being 42nd. The Humphrey-Smith 91 car in general results for 2012 are this. 2 different drivers made 11 of its 15 attempts, 0 laps led. The purse money total for 11 races was $786,154. Laps completed out of 11 races were 230 of 3,481 laps, 15.1%. The 91 car had an average start of 37th, and the 91 car had an average finish of 42.2, and a 51st place finish in the owner's points. The Humphrey-Smith 91 car may have only been around for the last half of the Gen 5 season, but still did its job in helping fund the sister 19 car and giving field filler fans a season to remember. I want to say thank you to the following photographers for helping me find pictures for the 91 car. David Pequeen, Jayski, Andy, Shutterstock, Mike Traverse, Dale Morton, Rob Dusty, Mike Ulshenkin, Rami Mansour, Robert J. Jr., Bradley Carpenter, and Adam Fallen of Fallen Photos. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe for more Start and Park Seasons fun, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care, and again, I hope you enjoyed the video.